Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am the Divine One, bringing you yet another assortment. Alright y'all, let's get right into it. I hope you didn't think I was gonna miss today. I hope you did not think I was not gonna be up here giving my commentary about this whole sordid circus mess, Maga meltdown, because the conservative circus is doing the absolute most this week. Elon Musk is out here playing the double game with DEI policies, the H-1B visas. Vivek Ramaswamy, I'm gonna call him for posterity purposes. For this channel, he will be known as Vivek Ra. We're shortening it. Vivek just learned the hard way that his MAGA pass is missing the proper white background. And Laura Loomer is melting down on social media, proving once again that no amount of filler can smooth over logical inconsistency. What happened? What happened? Hush, child. I was getting to that. Elon Musk and Vivek recently made statements advocating for the expansion of the H-1B visa program to attract highly skilled foreign workers, which has caused significant unrest among MAGA supporters. So buckle up. I have some video, and we're about to break this mess all the way down. Let's go. So let's talk about Elon Musk, the self-proclaimed free speech absolutist who's now pulling accounts faster than his rockets can launch, faster than his Tesla Cybertrucks can catch on fire. He's restricting badges, suspending dissent, and calling it necessary moderation. But the truth is, this is the same man who's hiring H-1B visa holders from India en masse while preaching about American excellence, child. The rough translation is he's limiting speech on a platform he claims to have purchased for the promotion of free speech. That lie fell almost as hard as this year's Tesla sales. Moving right along. Musk is living proof of a contradiction. He loves diversity when it serves his business interests, but the minute DEI policies are mentioned in relationship to race, particularly blackness, he's on the front lines of the anti-woke brigade. It's like saying, I support diversity as long as it doesn't involve addressing systemic inequalities or issues regarding equity. Emphasize the necessity of bringing in top engineering talent through legal immigration, comparing it to recruiting star athletes to enhance a sports team's performance. He says these things as if we don't have MIT. Most U.S. colleges have engineering programs. There's no shortage of available talent. What there is shortages of people who are willing to work for pennies on the dollar. I would say that Elon is twisting himself into contortions, but given the recent pictures of a shirtless Elon Musk, nobody would believe you were that athletic. Now let's move on to Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ra. Vivek thought he could finesse the MAGA crowd by calling out American mediocrity. What he failed to realize is that the unspoken rule of white supremacy is mediocrity is protected when it's white mediocrity. Vivek, sweetie, you can't come for average American, a MAGA euphemism for white folks, and think you're still in the club, darling. Vivek argued that since the 1990s, American culture has favored social popularity over academic and technical excellence, leading to talent deficiencies in critical sectors like technology, like medicine, like healthcare, like finance, all of which was the premise for why there was this push and this necessity for the H-1B visa program to begin with. But I think it's time for us to go back down memory lane. The H-1B visa was created as a part of the Immigration Act of 1990, signed into law by President George H.W. Bush on November 29, 1990. The visa program allows U.S. employers to hire foreign workers in specialty occupations that require theoretical or technical expertise, such as in IT, engineering, science, and medicine. The H-1B program replaced earlier non-immigrant work visa programs and became effective on April 1st, 1990. Its framework has undergone multiple amendments since its inception, including changes to quotas, eligibility requirements, and employer responsibilities. Newsflash, Vivek, that's always been the case in the United States. When did you get here? He said Americans don't study enough math and science. That's why we need immigrants. And white conservatives heard that as, you're calling us lazy. Twitter, or rather X, lit up like a Tesla truck freshly off the lot catching on fire. And let me tell you, if I were Vivek, I'd invest in some private security because MAGA loyalty is conditional. And spoiler alert, you just violated the terms and conditions of your MAGA acceptance. Vivek broke the #1 rule for approved minorities in conservative spaces. That rule is that you, as a person of color, can only attack non-white, and by non-white, black people. The moment Vivek chastised whiteness, and make no mistake, that's what he did when he said mediocre Americans. See, right there, that's a clear violation of the step and fetch rules, policies, and procedures manual for all cool. You have to state which Americans, by which American, black, you are attacking, or the otherwise assumption is that you are clearly coming for whiteness. Okay. Then he proceeded to list everything white people do outside of studying and earning their way. Vivek mentioned going to the mall. Vivek mentioned watching Friends on repeat. Child, there's no debate here. Vivek drew first blood. And he did that trying to come to the aid and comfort of Elon Musk. When Elon Musk put his foot in his mouth, because they were dragging Elon on his own platform. Okay. I think he had to get Groot to go ahead and start blocking people automatically, because they were on him about why you're searching for all of these non-American H-1B1 visa applicants when you have plenty of Americans here who can do those jobs. And they were providing specifics. They were providing dates and times that they have applied and never heard a response back. And maybe, I just have to say, as far as those people are concerned, maybe you're not smart enough to work for him if you did not understand that he was not hiring Americans. Okay. And yes, that is what started the Maga meltdown. Hilarity to ensue. But that was the Maga backlash. So let's talk about that. So far, the notable Maga supporters that have been swift and vocal about both Elon and Vivek. We'll start with Ann Coulter. She accused Musk and Ramaswamy of favoring foreign workers, alleging that the H-1B1 visa program suppresses American wages and exploits foreign labor. While Mike Cernovich expressed frustration, suggesting that the push for H-1B is a flawed solution to a problem created by the tech industry's own practices. This problem persisted before the tech industries. You can trace this issue way back to the late 80s. So I don't know what Mike is talking about. Maybe his high is coming down. I don't know. Now let's get into Laura Loomer. She's been ranting about Musk and Vivek all week, and honestly, it's the projection for me. Loomer criticized Musk and Ramaswamy for their stance, predicting a forthcoming rift between them and President-elect Donald Trump. Translation, she's trying to create a wedge between them because she's so many other people that are on the outs after he got your vote, after he got your support. He's not returning your phone calls. Laura is the queen of railing against systems that benefit her while pretending to be the victim. Yes, she's one of those reverse racism people. Her filler-packed face is a metaphor for her arguments, overinflated and misshapen. But here's the truth. Their hypocrisy mirrors that of the MAGA movement at large. So I think the MAGA people are in a bit of an identity crisis, which in and of itself to me is white mediocrity on display. But here goes. This entire spectacle boils down to one thing: white mediocrity and its desperate need for preservation. MAGA has always been about protecting the illusion of supremacy while outsourcing the actual work to hypocrites. That's why Elon can push H-1B visas and still get applause from MAGA. According to Musk, it's not about nationalism. It's about performance, keeping the power structure intact while scapegoating everyone else. But here is the reality. It's all about cheap labor. In 2020, a study by the Economic Policy Institute found that employers that rely on America's H-1B visa program to recruit temporary employees with highly specialized skills and technical education often pay those workers well below the market wages. Let me say that again for the people who always say they've done their research. Well below the market wages. I had to say it slow this time, that way they'd catch it. But I digress. The tension doesn't start or stop at these contrasting opinions. This is about nationalism and technocracy. Sources close to President-elect Trump expressed worries that the public disagreement over immigration policies could fracture the MAGA coalition, emphasizing the need for unity on issues that consolidate support. President-elect Donald Trump has exhibited fluctuating views on the H-1B visa program, previously signing an executive order to limit it, but also suggesting the facilitation of legal immigration for skilled workers. Translation, Trump is waiting to see who will pay him. Who will bribe him. Let the bidding war begin, basically. Okay, that's all that's going on here. Grassroots opposition, MAGA supporters, represented by figures like Loomer, oppose H-1B1 visas entirely, viewing them as a betrayal of Trump's promise to prioritize America first. Translation, white people. But Project 2025's nuanced approach approach to skilled immigration faced backlash from those MAGA voters the Trump campaign courted with their anti-immigrant rhetoric, who perceived it as privileging corporate profits and foreign interests over the livelihoods of American workers, white people. Now, in contrast, the technocrats like Musk and Ramaswamy framed skilled immigration as a necessity for maintaining U.S. innovation and global competitiveness. Their arguments tied to industry dependent on highly specialized talent, and this aligned with the 2020's selective admissions policy, but clashed with MAGA's populist narrative. Translation: they're trying to differentiate immigration based off of class, the H-1B visas, whereas their base is demanding immigration be based off of race and ethnicity. The people that voted them in office are saying they want anyone who is not white to pack up their bags. They made that abundantly clear, okay? They were, what dog whistles? All I heard this election cycle was foghorns, okay? But the internal Republican debates on immigration strategy, I know I mentioned grassroots nationalism. Let me clarify. Grassroots nationalism is the MAGA bros versus the technocratic pragmatism, which is your MAGA tech. The MAGA base prioritize strict immigration controls as a cornerstone of the American first, i.e. white first agenda. Translation, like I said, white first. They viewed even skilled immigration as a potential threat to the American white workers and cultural white identity. In contrast, the technocrats like Musk and Ramaswamy emphasized the economic necessity of attracting global talent to maintain U.S. dominance in technology and innovation, which at face value is complete hypocrisy nonsense, as this country has never had a shortage of workers within the tech and innovation skill set. Just greedy CEOs like Musk looking to import cheap labor from India. We've sung this song before in the 80s and up to the early 2000s, okay? We're not repeating that tune. That's what MAGA's saying. The party division, like I mentioned, figures like Loomer embodied the grassroots rejection of immigration in any form, accusing Musk and Ramaswamy of betraying MAGA principles. These divisions highlighted the difficulty of uniting the party under a cohesive policy framework. Moderates within the party struggled to reconcile the demands of the base during the campaign. Translation: the moderates are listening to the CEOs and not to the base of the party, which at this point is obviously MAGA. And what does the MAGA voter want? They want to go back to the old ways where you can be white, mediocre, and just get any old job you want, complaining about reverse racism. Ciao. But let's have some reflection here. The post-election reconciliation efforts. After the election, the administration sought to bridge these divides by promoting merit-based immigration reforms while doubling down on border security. This approach aimed to placate both technocrats and the base, but risked dissatisfaction on both ends. Translation: the brown people that come from India, good brown people, but the brown people that come from South America and Latin country, bad brown people. Black people are sitting over here looking at y'all, child. We told you so. We're past the, what is that phase? The F around to find out. We are at the I told you so phase. That's what this is. I told you. We told you so. Let's talk about the impact on party identity. The internal conflict over immigration policy mirrored broader tensions within the Republican Party, pitting the traditional conservatives against the populists and the nationalist fractions. Okay, the outcome of these debates will likely shape the party's platform and electoral prospects in 2026 and beyond. I can tell you now, 2026 is a wash. As soon as he starts deporting any Latin people, there goes the Latin vote. I know, I did videos on this. I said I was going to leave the Latin people alone because I really took them to the woodshed, okay? But Donald Trump has made the Latin community look like complete idiots, like fools, like dunces. And they're going to get their leg back in 2026. We shall see. I'm sorry, we have to, unfortunately, we have to side-eye a lot of these groups that thought the leopards were not going to eat their faces. And what I saw with the Latin community is the leopard said, hey, I got taco shells. I'm going to just put you on up in here. And that's what the leopards have been doing. The leopard. Okay, and the leopards did that with the Palestinians. I see you're still marching. You weren't marching to the ballot box on November 4th, and the ones that did, you were sitting over here trying to make a statement to prove to the Democrats, by Democrats they mean black people, to the Democrats that you can mess things up for them. But the only statement that you need to be concerning yourself is whatever statements you're going to be giving to the immigration officers, the ICE officers that's going to be escorting you to the nearest buses and then to the nearest planes and off to Palestine, okay? So that you can maybe try your protest over on the Gaza Strip. I don't think that's going to work out well for you, but you might want to pass by some of these army surplus stores and see what type of armament you can get from there. Moving right along, there is an intersection with DEI and affirmative action as it relates to this last campaign. The policy parallels both anti-immigrant and anti-DEI rhetoric grounded in critiques of systemic reverse racism, reverse discrimination. Translation, white people were mad that you were complaining, that you weren't getting a fair shot. Project 2025 explicitly sought to dismantle DEI programs in federal agencies, higher education, and private companies, framing them as antithetical to meritocracy. Similarly, reforms to the H-1B program were positioned as restoring fairness by preventing abuse and ensuring foreign workers did not displace qualified Americans. Now, the key contrast here is while DEI was attacked as a cultural imposition, skilled immigration was framed as a pragmatic compromise. This created a policy tension where opponents of DEI questioned why immigrants were considered meritocratic additions, while American workers allegedly lacked comparable opportunities. And I'm sure that the Project 2025 plans for dismantling the Department of Education will hasten the lack of those opportunities, as you hasten the lack of qualified people who have the prerequisites and the skill sets that you can only get by obtaining higher forms of education. But there is an intersection with economic policy as well. Skilled versus unskilled immigration debate. Trump's nuanced proposal to offer green cards to foreign graduates of U.S. universities aimed to balance the need for skilled labor with the protection of American workers. However, this nuance was overshadowed by broader anti-immigrant narratives. This was the campaign theme, anti-immigrant. And then they were able to get a lot of brown people, the black people. We wasn't falling for that crap. Judging by these numbers, only some people lacked common sense. I don't know what we can do with those people at this point. If your brain operates like an iPhone, just click settings, okay? Go to common sense, see the button to the right, now turn that on. At this point, I don't know what to tell you. But a lot of people fell for he's talking about those people, not me. I was born here. I'm married to someone in the military. My husband is white. That's what they were thinking. And now that he got your vote and you're not getting anything in return. You're getting something in return. It's called return to country of origin. That's the return that they're thinking about. But as it relates to Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, advocacy for expanding H-1B1 visas highlighted the economic imperative of skilled immigration, but grassroots opponents framed it as prioritizing corporate profits over domestic white job creation. Domestic job creation. And then you have the economic anxiety among the base. Anti-immigrant rhetoric tapped into economic fears, blaming immigrants for stagnating wages, housing shortages, and strained public services. This narrative found fertile ground among voters who felt left behind by globalization and automation. Okay, I have to say there's not a lot that has been automated. Okay, but Elon Musk introduced those flopping robots that, from what I understand, people paid $30,000 for a robot and all it can do is wash dishes. But okay, child, my dishwasher came with my house, but okay. Tech industry roles. The tech sector's reliance on H-1B visas underscored tensions between economic pragmatism and nationalist sentiment. Figures like Musk argued that limiting skilled immigration would hinder innovation and competitiveness, while grassroots activists accused tech moguls of exploiting cheap labor. That's all that is. And I don't understand what innovation there needs to be. It seems like the only innovation that the Tesla Cybertruck needs is maybe a handle for a fire extinguisher or some sort of fire suppression system, or I don't know. But there's not much that could not have been done within the confines of the people that are available here now in the US that you refuse to interview because they are American and you only want the cheap labor that's coming from India. So there's that. And there are contradictions in policies. For instance, the alignment of anti-immigrant rhetoric with opposition to DEI and affirmative action created policy contradictions. Critics noted that opposing DEI for undermining meritocracy while restricting skilled immigration seemed inconsistent, as both policies ostensibly aim to prioritize excellence. But I just want to tell people like Vivek Ramaswamy, the white card does have an expiration date. We, on the Black delegation, that's not something that we can give someone, okay? But Vivek, his biggest mistake was thinking he had a white card. No, you had a temporary pass to bash black people. That's it, that's all. The moment you critiqued white mediocrity, that pass got revoked. Ann Coulter already told you to your face, you're not white, you're Indian, and you sat there grinning like she just complimented you. The disrespect was palpable, and you said nothing. But now you're stepping on Maga's sacred ground by calling out their cultural complacency. You're done. Elon Musk hiring Indian engineers while tearing down DEI is irony at its finest, okay? Vivek praising immigrant work ethics while appealing to an anti-immigrant base peaks delusion, and Laura Loomer accusing them of betraying Maga while benefiting from the same systemic inequities as the cherry on the top. This is the Maga movement eating itself alive, and honestly, it's a show worth watching, a movement imploding under the weight of its own contradiction. I never saw a leopard eating another leopard. I never thought it was possible. Here it is. I get to see it every day. It's the greatest show on earth right now. I'm surprised they're not selling tickets. It's like watching a reality show where everyone is fighting and no one realizes the producers set them up for failure. So in conclusion, the implosion of Maga's contradictions. So what's the moral of this mess? Maga is collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions and racism. Basically, that's it. Musk and Vivek are learning the hard way that no matter how much you pander to white supremacy, the moment you deviate from the script, you're out. They are getting the most xenophobic comments I've seen, and I'm not mad. That's the energy you put out, and now it's returning to you. And Laura, she'll keep projecting and grifting because that's all she knows how to do. She really doesn't have any skill set. Certainly, judging by all those lumps on her face, I wouldn't try to pick a good plastic surgeon for me. But for Democrats, watching this Tesla cyber truck full of loons crash and burn, we're watching this unfold. Remember, this is not our battle. This is not our lesson to learn. Let's say it again for the people in the back. This is not our lesson to learn. One more time for the people that's, still doing their research. This
is not our lesson to learn.
Again, I have to be very courteous to people that are slow, so that's why we have to play it back slow. Moving right along. I say, let those miscreants scrap. Let them fight it out while we focus on building our communities and protecting our interests. As Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th president of the United States, famously said, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. Maga is learning that lesson the hard way. Stay focused, Democrats. Stay focused, black people. Stay strategic and let them implode. Until next time, y'all. Well, it looks like our time is up. I thank you for making the time to go through it to the end with me. Like, share, and subscribe, please, and thank you.